all my teammates and most of my classmates, they lived in the suburbs and had lives like you would live in like an inner city. Whenever they would like come to my house, be like, this is crazy, like you have goats and chickens and all these dogs. Like, yeah, this is my life, like I don't know anything else. So no, like a lot of people didn't have similar lives to me.
Probably the favorite thing on the farm was just being together outside. It had a lot of freedom.
Looking back at it, I loved it so much, and there was never a day that I didn't have fun or was bored because there was always something to do.
She was always down at the creek. She was always dirty. She was with the animals, carrying a cat, carrying a chicken.
But giving us the responsibility of having chores and having to take care of the animals, like the animals eat before you do because they're unable to feed themselves. And that was something that was constantly instilled in us, is to put other things before yourself.
I don't think we sheltered them. I think the understanding was a little much at that age. My older son, he definitely understood. He knew what was going on.
So my sister, she was in the hospital for a really long time, and my dad lost his job.
We were in really, really good shape financially, and then the whole world fell apart. And you make a decision as a family, what's the most important thing for us? And there were two things: Bailey's health, finding a way to give her every advantage in that regard, and then staying together.
Why? That's always the question. It's like, why are we losing the house? Why don't we have any money? Because I feel like it's a parent's job to kind of keep the kids in the dark at a certain point. And so we didn't really ever know that we didn't have any money. We kind of did, like, oh, we don't have money to get that, or we don't have money to do that, but that's kind of normal to say stuff like that, but like we had no money. Like, we could not afford it. One day we just had to get up and go.
Anytime you move from a large home and downsize, as people like to call it, we lived very closely together, and we had to love each other and encourage each other through it.
Getting back on our feet, everyone was really supportive of everything that we went through and made sure that we were okay, and always like had a meal on our doorstep when my sister was in the hospital, or if we were ever going through hard times. And I think we definitely felt supported by our town, and I don't think a lot of people get to experience that when you live in a big town. Or
Celina, Texas is the comfy old jacket that no matter how ratty and old it is, that's always your go-to. This town is not afraid to say what we believe in, to be who we need to be, and to support everything that these children need.
You know, the environment of the small town helps kids with a work ethic, because you do have to work a little bit harder for things. You go to a bigger school like Allen or Plano or even Frisco, the resources of things that they have is much greater than a smaller town that's still growing.
Especially like the faith base of this town, and how much they emphasize being strong in whatever you believe in.
And if you can just figure out how to be the right person, it doesn't matter what you believe or don't believe. It's those, those essences that make this place special.
Our goal was to have a family, definitely, to have children, to raise them in a godly environment, to make sure our children were respectful, wholesome values and godly values.
There's a reason. That was what my parents would always tell us. There's a reason this is happening. There's a reason that you're going to experience these trials. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. And there's the saying that people say, God doesn't give trials to people unless that He knows that they can take them, that they can do it.
Well, I've always asked Barbara, when she goes out on that court, to remember, who are you playing for? I'm playing for God and for those who can't. And when she says that, she's talking about her sister. Bailey won't ever be able to hit a ball. She won't ever be able to do a lot of things that we take for granted.
We take for granted things that we're given on a daily basis, like the ability to speak. For instance, for my sister, like she can kind of communicate, but like at a 2-year-old level, she can't fully communicate what she wants. it's what I want to do with my life. As a speech pathologist, that's how I want to direct my career, is working with special needs.
She's given a lot to us. One of the things about special needs in general is I think that they bring out the best in others.
She's definitely one of my heroes. Because I have her in my life, I never would change anything.
When I see my children with her, loving her, and really, she probably is more affectionate to them at times than they are to her. She gives more in her small way than a lot of people ever give.
A lot of times we think not why us, but why Bailey? And the only answer that you can be is she's here to help us be better. And I think she does.
We wanted to instill some really strong godly principles and godly values. And we thought that if we could keep them at home and put them in that kind of environment.
I definitely think that being homeschooled strengthened my faith and built my character, because I got to be around like my little baby brother and around my sister a lot more than most people do. Like I was around my family all day, every day.
Barbara was homeschooled all the way until high school, so she didn't come to junior high public school, so she didn't start until 9th grade.
Especially like when I was first homeschooled coming here, it was like, I can't believe that we only have like a minute and a half to walk from one side to the other, and then it just blew my mind. On varsity, ever since I was a freshman, that was definitely the culture shock. And even my coach said that, you're definitely sheltered.
To me, it's fascinating, like how many kids are really at home being homeschooled, and they're playing on homeschool teams where they could, be contributing to, public school athletics. So for her to be able to transition and really help out Celina was special for Celina for sure.
And this is the choir room. I spent most of my time in there. That was places I'd come just if I ever needed any help in any areas of life or needed someone to talk to. He was always there.
So these are my scholarship athletes over the past couple of years. So Barbara Teakell was actually our first up there.
The choir was more of me having an influence on the people around me, and then being given the opportunity to be a light in people's lives that didn't have sports, and knowing that sports aren't everything and all the people that play sports aren't the greatest people.
So she would see things like that and know that it's not right? Because in her time, there was definitely a schism between, what you consider the cool kids that were, the football, the cheer, all the stuff, and then there was a division, and then all of these over here, and she's definitely one of those that she didn't care who you were. If you sat next to her, she'd want to know who you were.
And I don't know that I've ever been prouder than some of the times when I see Barbara make a difference. And it's not always on a court, it's not always whatever, it's just in life, but I've seen her make that difference, and that's like a really proud feeling that she's brought out in me.
And everybody remembers her. All the volleyball girls, even the basketball track, they remember Barbara Teakell. Because it wasn't just her court side as far as volleyball goes. How she interacted with the other athletes in the hallway, how she carried herself.
I'm so proud that she is who she is and how she's grown up into such a strong character, strong conviction, strong faith young lady.
She had a profound respect for anybody who was struggling with anything. It didn't matter if it was a disability or if it was somebody who struggled on a test. She made sure that they knew they were seen, and she made sure that she did something about it. And sometimes that's saying something, sometimes that's doing something.
Something that my mom always told me was to play for those who can't, to play for your sister or all the kids that wish they were playing a Division I sport. Do for those who can't and wish they could, or don't understand the things that they aren't given and don't have the opportunity to do. I would give anything for them, because they've given me the world. And even though we did go through hard things and life wasn't always as easy as a lot of people's, that I wouldn't take any of it back. That I'm glad that we did experience those things, and I'm glad that we got to see life in that perspective from a more difficult point of view.